Yeah. Hey, thanks everyone. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you following the sport here at Arkansas. Means a lot to us. To continue to grow, right? The sport and the fan base and all of those kinds of things. We can't do it without you. But yeah, I think it's been a nice little stretch for us. I think we overexerted our team a little bit in the non-conference with multiple matches over multiple days, and so we're getting into this little routine here, spoiled almost, in that we have one match a week, and that ends a little stretch for us this Sunday with Alabama before we get into some back-to-back series, as the SEC will have us play. But overall, pretty enthused, pretty encouraged by where we're at. I don't know if we ever sit down and go, "Hey, we think this is a win, this is a loss," sort of thing. I don't know if we do that, um, but I think we're 13-2. M can correct me, but playing particularly well. I think we're a better team than we were in August, and I think that's a pretty important statement for our athletes and for us as a staff that we're playing the game a little better, a little cleaner than we were when we started the season, and so hopefully that kind of on the job training is kind of paying some dividends here. But well, we got our hands full with Alabama this weekend for sure.
All right, questions for Coach. Whoever wants to go first can go first. Go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, hey coach, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, good.
Awesome. First of all, we'll start with the Oklahoma game. Get going in, getting the win, going down, getting tied, set 1-1. What was the conversations like in the huddle after losing that second set with the team to remain calm in an environment like Oklahoma?
Yeah, I mean, we hadn't been there before. We didn't know what to expect, and it's a pretty intimate environment. I mean, they packed it too a little bit, and so it got kind of loud there. But I think as with all the case when we're in those kind of situations, the goal is to play a little cleaner. And just I thought we had to make a couple of defensive upgrades. Their middles were hitting the ball a little bit faster tempo than we're used to, and that kind of rattled us a little bit. And so their in-system offense was really quite difficult to defend. And I don't know if we really got a good handle on it until late set four, thankfully. But I think that's it. I think there were just some of those adjustments and probably more reminders of, hey, let's not overcommit on this. Let's just see if we can get some hands in front of some stuff and touch it, and then work out in trans rather than, hey, just stop it at the net sort of thing. I mean, that'll come. I think that was a reoccurring theme through all four sets, actually.
Yeah, and Anaya Madkin in that match, 25 kills, would go on and win Freshman of the Week for the SEC. What does that mean, just seeing her progression from when she started a couple of weeks ago to now where you guys are 3-0 in conference play?
Yeah. We actually talk about that as a staff. Her first swing at Cal Poly didn't make it to the net. I mean, it bounced under the net, and and certainly that's not what you want to have happen, right? I mean, that's not what she's prepped for. And now, as we see the progression and the evolution, right now she's 25 kills in the SEC Player of the Week as a freshman for the freshman thing. It's just really encouraging to see. I think for us that we if we just keep working hard, if we just keep kind of playing the game as simple as we can, then good things are going to happen. And so her and Liv and Romani, I think, are reflections of that. And I think they're all playing the game well. Liv kind of struggled a little bit at Oklahoma, but against Ole Miss, she was phenomenal. So there's going to be those moments, right, with all teams and with freshmen, right, where the peaks and valleys are going to happen. But I think we're just trying to ride them out here a little bit, and so far so good.
And I think this is our first time talking to you in a couple of weeks. I'm curious. I know Courtney Jackson and Hannah Hogue both hit career milestones, 1,500 assists or 200, 2,500. Both hit big milestones is my entire point. What can you say about them and their evolution, seeing them that from their freshman year grow into what they are now leading this team?
Yeah, I mean, all of those things are, I think, reflective of their ability to just see the game. I think they both see and understand the game at a much higher level than when they got here, and so they can anticipate some things, and their perception is just really, really good, and that helps us create multiple opportunities within a rally to score a point, and I think that's important when we have some not less talented, but less experienced athletes that are finding their way on how to understand the game, and so they can shoulder a big part of that responsibility. And yeah, we like to talk about the kids that get kills, right? Because that's the fun part and the things. But those two are paramount to them being able to get those kills easily. And I think they're probably some of the best in the game, the college game today.
Yeah, I'll turn it over. I got a few more after.
Cooper, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, pleasure. Lining up on the opposite side of course, Chase Campbell, Alabama. Don't expect you to give away quite the full game plan, but a veteran such as herself with the third highest hitting percentage in the SEC, curious what your thoughts are scouting up against an athlete like that for this matchup.
Yeah. It just keeps getting better, doesn't it? Right. It just keeps going. But I think that's what you want, right? I mean, you want every match within the conference to be somewhat meaningful, right? And here's the next one. Yeah, I think when we look at that, I think there's a couple of things that go into mind. Can we create less optimal environment for her to be successful? And so, can we not only with our serve, you kind of put some pressure on him with that, but defensively, can we make it just a little bit harder for her to get the kills that she wants? So perhaps, look, I'm not saying that she doesn't work hard, but maybe make her work a little bit harder for the kills that she wants to go get. But they're fast, and that's the thing that we're finding, that teams that are running stuff a little bit faster than we do, which shouldn't come as a surprise, right? We just have a little bit harder time defending and getting dialed in on. So I think it's going to take us a while to get up to speed with what they're doing. I mean, we're fortunate that we have one match. They have to go play at Missouri on Friday before they come here. They tell me those things work their way through the season, so we're going to have to do that at some time. Play two, and our opponents only play one. But so we'll see. We'll see what that means. But they're a much better Alabama team than Alabama teams of the past. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And I'll finish off with one more, right? You talked about this part of the schedule before it gets a little bit more intense and tighten up with back-to-backs. Can you tell me just how it matters to you? Maybe it doesn't as a program to start off with, of course, undefeated for this part of the schedule before it gets a little bit more intense with more back-to-backs?
Yeah, certainly. I think when you look at, yeah, I'll take it in this way. Last season's team was the margins were slim, not to make it to the tournament, but because we thought we were good enough to make it to the tournament, but the margins were slim to be able to host, right? Like top 16 host, and that's a big deal in order to get further into the thing. So every match mattered in that space to be able to get to be a host. Now it's a little bit different where every match matters to be able to get into the tournament, right? And so this is one of those opportunities. And every match at home, it's just a little bit easier, not easy, but a little bit easier to get prepped and dialed in when you're home because you don't have the challenge of travel and things like that. And so you've got to be able to protect that, because if you drop one at home, it just gets harder to pick that mic back up on the road, sort of thing. And so that's what's pretty significant with us. And we're fortunate that 3 of our first 4 are at home, but we know we're going to pay for that down the stretch here. But yeah, I hope it's hard for opponents to play in Barnhill. That's the goal, right? And so so far that's been true.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else before we go back to Evan?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, Evan, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess my last one, Coach. Over the next couple of weeks, where do you hope to see your team continue to improve?
Yeah, offensively, we're hoping. You can't just be clean. You've got to be able to score points. So we need to get a little bit more balanced productivity out of our left sides. I think that's pretty significant. I think we need to serve a little bit better. And that's not just in the binaries, like, hey, serve it in and, get aces, but knocking people out of system in some spaces. And so I think those are 2 pretty key areas for us. one of the focuses on the last 2 weeks is just trying to find some solutions when we're out of system, that we don't just give it to them, but we give it to them in a manner that doesn't allow them to be successful, giving it back to us, sort of thing. And so all of these things are just, I think, building blocks, right? You got to do this before you do that, sort of thing, especially with the freshmen. You can't just give them a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, you've got to just layer some stuff on top of other stuff, and that's what we're doing. And I think, as you've seen, and I think we're seeing an incredible improvement in those younger athletes, because we're just building and layering upon stuff that they've had to experience to date.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Anything else for Coach? All right. Well, thanks everybody for
awesome.
being here. We will see you on Sunday.
Hey, thanks everyone. Have a great day. Yeah, enjoy the weather.